Hey folks, today's video is all about eczema scars. There's two types of eczema leftovers. There's eczema scars which have come from actual scratching, ripping open of the skin, and then there's PIH, which is post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, which comes about just from when the inflammation goes down and you're left with a discoloration in the skin. Those are two sorts of eczema leftovers, if you will. I suffered with both. I had PIH, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, around my eyes here, where the sorts of the sockets and the, sort of this area here was a different color for a while after the eczema itself healed. And I also had some scarring on the fronts of my legs, which is mostly gone now, on my shins where I was scratching particularly deeply. And so let's get into it. What can we do about scarring? What can we do once we've got the scarring, and what can we do to prevent it? So the first thing to say is if you have eczema right now, you're not even thinking about scarring or PIH at this point, this video does still apply to you, because what you do now could impact what you have to deal with further on down the line. So essentially, the more you scratch right now, the more likely you are to get scars later on that you've then got to go and deal with. So I know telling somebody with eczema not to scratch is kind of a ridiculous thing to say, and when people used to say that to me, I didn't like it, because obviously I knew that scratching wasn't going to help the situation necessarily, but it was also something that I just couldn't stop, because when you have eczema you just get into this scratching trance where I don't know if it's because of the release of toxins or what, but you just get tied into this, you can't stop. And so telling you not to scratch is not really what I want to do in this video, but you should know that if there is anything you can do to reduce the impact of scratching, of itching, like if you found certain food types and things that you know prevents you from scratching more, then do those things as much as you can, because the less you can scratch now, the less likely you are down the line to have to deal with some scarring. In terms of the PIH side of things, the more chemicals you use on your skin, the more likely you are to get discoloration and then have to deal with that further on down the line. Again, another reason why I discourage people as much as possible from using chemical-based products on their skin. So if you are left with PIH and you are left with scarring, what can you do about it? How did I get rid of mine? How do I have such a clear, continuous color to my skin now? Well, largely I spent a lot of time in the sun, and when you get a lot of sunlight, firstly you get a lot of vitamin D, you also get a whole lot of other things that we don't yet have scientific names for that the sun gives us. And you also encourage regeneration of skin cells, because it encourages the skin to sweat and die off from the old skin cells and just replace them a bit faster. I've always found that with spending more time in the sun, so that would be another recommendation if you can possibly bear it. If your skin is cracked and broken right now, then sweating and spending a lot of time in direct sunlight is probably not the best thing to do. Another thing you can do if you are left with PIH or scarring is to use a light layer of rosehip oil every now and again on your skin. As you know, I'm not a big fan of recommending products to people, because products definitely come under that bracket of what works for one person probably won't work or help to somebody else, and could even be a hindrance. Most products I do feel can be a hindrance, but I've seen enough people now get good results using rosehip oil post eczema. So this is not something to use while you have eczema. This is something to use when your skin is not broken anymore and not dry and flaky anymore. You're just dealing with scarring and post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. A light layer of rosehip oil on the surface of the skin can be of assistance to reduction of scarring and to get that continuous, nice, rich balance of color back to the skin. If you want to know which type of rosehip oil I recommend, there's a link down below to an Amazon page which can show you the rosehip oil which I used and which I recommend to my clients. I don't give the advice about rosehip oil lightly because, as you know, I don't really recommend any products. I don't like the use of anything on the skin. I like to encourage the skin to self-heal, self-moisturize using food and environment alone. But it's worth a shot if your skin is not broken anymore and you're just trying to deal with a bit of scarring or PIH. In general, with your healing process, try not to use any products. If you can possibly get the other side of my advice down first, the food stuff, the exercise stuff, the sleep, the hydration, these are the things which will help you to heal from the inside out and prevent scarring and PIH in the long run. Do those things as much as you possibly can. Leave your comments and questions down below. How are you getting on with your skin? I'd like to know. If we've coached together in the past, I'd like to hear from you as well. Just drop me a line, let me know how you're getting on. That's it for today. I'll see you on Wednesday for another Q&A video. If you've got any questions you'd like me to answer, please drop them in the comments box down below. We'll see you again soon.